The 777 HighLift control system consists of flaps and slats and has three modes of operation: primary, secondary, and alternate. In primary mode, the flaps and slats use the center hydraulic system. The flap lever on the control stand positions the flaps and slats and has 7 detented positions. The gates at positions 1 and 20 prevent inadvertent flap retraction when retracting flaps after takeoff or go-around. The flap and slat position indication is on ICAS. Normally, the indication is not in view until slats begin to extend. Combined slat and flap positions are displayed on a single vertical bar in primary mode. It is displayed as long as the flaps and slats are not up. When the slats and flaps are in transit, the flap lever position is shown in magenta and turns green when slats and flaps reach their commanded position. The flap position indication is removed from ICAS 10 seconds after slat retraction is complete. Whenever flaps are not up below 20,000 feet, two flap position indications display on the PFD airspeed indication next to their associated flap maneuvering speeds. The lower speed is the flap maneuvering speed for the current flap position, and the higher speed is the flap maneuvering speed for the next retracted flap position. Flaps 15 is takeoff-only flap position and displays only when flaps 15 is selected. A single flaps up indication displays next to the flaps up maneuvering speed whenever it is in the visible speed range and the airplane is below 20,000 feet with the flaps and slats up. Move the flap lever to 1. Moving the flap lever to 1 sends a signal to two flap-slat electronics units, FSEUs, which control and monitor flap and slat operation in both primary and secondary modes. In primary mode, the FSEUs send a signal to a slat hydraulic motor. The leading edge slats extend to the mid-range or sealed position. The trailing edge flaps remain up. The slat hydraulic motor operates 1 inboard and 6 outboard slats on each wing, and 2 Kruger flaps, 1 on each wing. The Kruger flaps provide a seal between the inboard slat and engine nacelle and are either up or down. They extend with the slats at flaps 1. Select flaps 5. When flaps 5 is selected, the inboard and outboard trailing edge flaps move to the 5 position. Select flaps 20. Positions 5, 15, and 20 move the trailing edge flaps only. Any of these 3 positions can be used for takeoff. Now move the flap lever to flap 30. First, the slats extend to the down or gapped position, then the flaps extend to position 30. Flap placard speeds are located to the right of the auto brake selector on the center panel. Flap and slat extension is inhibited when airspeed is excessive or when above approximately 20,000 feet altitude. This prevents deployment if the flap lever is inadvertently moved. In primary mode, flap load relief operates for flaps 15 to 30. If a flap placard limit is exceeded for one of these positions, load relief displays on the ICAS flap display, and the flaps retract to a position adequate for the airspeed. The flaps return to the selected position when the airspeed is sufficiently reduced. An auto-slat system augments airplane stall protection. If the slats are in the mid-range position when the airplane approaches a stall, the slats extend automatically to the down position to increase lift. The auto-slat system operates only in primary mode, and there is no flight deck indication during auto-slat operation. Now let's discuss slat and flap operation in secondary mode. When the primary mode fails to move the slats or flaps, the secondary mode engages automatically. The ICAS caution message, "Flaps primary fail," displays when the flaps are operating in secondary mode. Reset the master caution system. An expanded flap and slat position indication showing slat and flap positions for each wing displays on ICAS. In secondary mode, the flaps are positioned electrically at a significantly slower speed. A similar situation occurs if the primary mode fails to extend the slats, secondary mode engages, and the ICAS caution message, "Slats primary fail," displays. The expanded flap and slat position indication appears, and the slats are now positioned electrically, also at a slower speed. If the slats are up when secondary mode engages, the slats extend to the down or gapped position when selecting flaps 1. This improves stall handling characteristics. However, if the slats are in the mid-range position when secondary mode engages, they remain in that position until the flaps are retracted to up or extended beyond 20. In secondary mode, slat load relief is available. If the airspeed becomes excessive with the slats down, the slats retract to mid-range and load relief displays. The secondary mode remains engaged until the flaps and slats are fully retracted, or until hydraulic control is restored. If primary and secondary modes fail, the ICAS caution message, "Flap Slat Control," appears. With both primary and secondary modes failed, the flaps and slats are positioned in alternate mode. Alternate mode must be selected manually. When selected, the alternate mode overrides flap lever inputs. The alternate flaps arm switch and the alternate flaps selector are located on the alternate flaps panel. Push the alternate flaps arm switch to arm the system. When the system is armed, alternate appears on the switch, and the alternate flap and slat position indication displays on ICAS. Slat and flap positions are shown independently for each wing. The extend retract signal bypasses the FSEUs and is sent directly to the flap and slat electric motors. The flaps and slats can be extended or retracted by moving the alternate flaps selector to the extend or retract position. Use the alternate flaps selector to position the flaps to 5. It is your responsibility to monitor the alternate flap and slat indication and move the alternate flap selector to off when the correct flap position is reached. Now select flaps 20. Maximum flap extension in alternate mode is flaps 20, and slats remain at mid-range. Extension time for flaps and slats from up to position 20 is similar to secondary mode. Now retract the flaps to 1. Since the FSCUs are bypassed in alternate mode, automatic flap and slat sequencing does not occur. However, during retraction, slat retraction is inhibited until the flaps are up. Let's look at some other high-lift non-normals. The ICAS caution message, flaps drive, displays, and the flap drive motors shut down when a flap asymmetry is detected. The message also displays if both hydraulic and electric flap drive motors fail, or if uncommanded flap motion is detected. The flap position indication on ICAS turns amber. The flaps cannot be repositioned from this failed position. Do not use alternate mode. The ICAS caution message, slats drive, displays, and the slat drive motors shut down when a slat asymmetry is detected. The message also displays if both hydraulic and electric slat drive motors fail, or if uncommanded slat motion is detected. The slat position indication on ICAS turns amber. The slats cannot be repositioned from this failed position. Do not use alternate mode. The config flaps warning message, combined with the warning oral and lights, indicate that the flaps or slats are not in takeoff position. Retard the thrust levers to cancel the warnings and abort the takeoff. To help you compare slat and flap operation in the three modes, here is a composite review.